I'm Jane Dahmen, your host. I'm an artist from Newcastle. I'm not too good on the ice. I broke my wrist getting out of my car, and it hasn't been able to have a cast put on it yet because it's too swollen, but tomorrow, I hope. But I didn't want to miss tonight because I've been looking forward to this for weeks. Andrew is in the Netherlands. Andrew Fenneman, who is the director of the theater. So he sends his best wishes, but he will watch the video because he was very curious about tonight. And by the way, if you want to see any of the past Talking Art in Maine events or the future that you can't come to, you can go to the Lincoln Theater website. I think you just Google it, and then type in Talking Art in Maine, and they should all pop up, so you can watch them at any time. Please join me in thanking our sponsors, Horch Roofing and Maine Home and Design. Well, tonight is my great pleasure and honor to welcome Charlie Hewitt to Talking Art in Maine. Charlie is an inventor. He seems to thrive on trying new mediums and taking risks with his art. He explores painting, drawing, printmaking, sculpting, ceramics, and who knows what else. I'm sure we'll find some more things that he's doing. He employs an array of tools to develop his imagery, such as sponges, paint scrapers, china bristle brushes, extruders, and all kinds of other things that I hope we'll learn about. An intuitive artist, he draws inspiration from a zone below conscious thought where he says, and I quote, "Images pop up, and when they do, you have to grab them. You can't be frightened of them." End of quote. First and foremost, Charlie Hewitt thinks of himself as a communicator. He is speaking to us through his art. Charlie Hewitt, welcome to Talking Art in Maine.
Well, thank you, Jane. It's a pleasure.
We passed out your bio at the door, so we won't go over all your illustrious career because you're collected by many important museums, and you show in Chelsea, New York. But I know you grew up in Lewiston, Maine, and we're going to talk about it a little later too, but just bring us back to where you grew up, because some of your imagery comes from where you grew up. For instance, I read that the church, family, and work sometimes factor into your art.
Yeah, well, they factor into my values, too.
Your values.
And they have a lot to do with why I'm still an artist. Because work ethic is part of my family upbringing, my legacy. It came from the shoe shops and the mills. I lived in a tenement in Lewiston with my grandmother, my aunts and uncles, and on the Damariscotta River. And I had a Sawyer-esque childhood on the Dirty River. Played in all the streams and the picked berries. It was my hometown.
Idyllic?
It was a great town. And it had a lot to do with who I am. Phil Isaacson, who's passed now.
Who?
Phil Isaacson.
Oh, yes.
The critic.
Yeah?
He one time said Charlie Hewitt had the good fortune of being born in Lewiston. And that was a great comment because it makes you grateful to receive these special gifts that arts can give me, the intelligence that you get from it, the people you meet. So gratitude is motivating. The wonder of the world outside. The thing that comes to me as an old man now is how much wonder I had as a child about what was in the world, what was out there, and then how I could follow that river to another place. So my whole life has been a journey out of Maine and now a journey back.
Oh, nice story. Oh, I just had something and I've forgotten what it was. But you call yourself a painter with the soul of a writer.
I do that. Well, I speak in words. I have titles before I have paintings.
Really? Before you have paintings, you have titles.
I look for titles. I'll spend a day. I get titles from the racing forum, racehorses. I'll look at paint colors. I'll find titles from books. Literature is where I get most of my ideas. The biggest epiphanies I've had in my life has been at a theater, watching a play. Not that my own medium isn't important, but an ensemble, a written piece of the word will break me down and really get to me in a way that nothing else will. So I think of myself as a literary person. I'm not a bragging,
no.
just curious. Because when I didn't have access in my youth and my early days as an artist to a big community of art, to a museum, collections, or galleries, I would get that from books, from literature. I would find my heroes, my fables in that. And the fable is really the important part. And as the older I become, the more I'd like to become somebody who creates those kind of fables. Just like my mentor from Lewiston, Mars and Hartley, found the same kind of language here in the landscape that became a universal image.
Yeah.
It spoke to him.
It spoke to him in a way, and he went away and came back to Maine, and his best paintings, I think, are of Maine.
Yeah, I'm back here raising a family as well, and it's inevitable that I ended up here. I didn't know that, but it's important.
But you went to New York in the
1968.
68, and you were there for how long?
Well, I went there in 68. I stayed there for 40-something years. I went there with a very noble purpose. I had to fight hand-to-hand warfare in the sexual revolution. I figured it was very important for me to get involved at that time because I, being the radical that I was, and I mean, I got some scars. Lucy Johnson got me bad. Royland really tore me up, but I survived to be a successful man that I am today. And some of my motivation for life was pretty base. I like life.
That's good. That's good.
I like participating.
That reminds me of, there's a great quote by William Blake. It's the road to excess leads to the palace of wisdom. I think that's you.
Yes. Well, and Blake also said that life delights in life.
Life what?
Delights.
Delights in life. I love it. I love William Blake. Yeah.
Blake. I got that from The Horse's Mouth. Do you know the book, The Horse's Mouth? Gully Jimson? It's unbelievable. It's about a failed artist who has a great life.
Oh, a failed artist.
Yeah, and that's what it requires to be an artist, to fail.
Failure.
I mean, this world we live in now with all these celebrity billionaire artists is so dull. I'd rather drive a truck than deal with it. I swear to God, I mean, it's just a terrifying thing.
Well, you have to be willing to fail, too. I think failure failure is relative. Let's face
it.
it.
This segues right into a great quote I just found, repeating over and over again. Winston Churchill said, "Success is the ability to move from failure to failure without the loss of enthusiasm."
Oh, I love it.
That defines me completely. I mean, in between all these things I'm going to show off, there's tons of failures. I mean, the birdhouses were a lousy idea. Crickets. I mean, then the ceramics, holy mackerel.
I like your ceramics.
I do too.
But there were a lot of failures?
They didn't work as well as I thought.
Oh,
they all lead to other conclusions.
We love to hear this stuff. We do. All of us who are trying to paint something.
So that says something about Lewiston. Okay. I never thought it was a career. I thought it was a privilege. I thought it was a way out. It gave me access to people. I mean, I was in New York the first week and I ran into W.H. Dahmen, for God's sakes.
Where? In Lewiston or in New York?
No, in New York City. I was walking down St. Mark's Place and this guy said, "You want to meet Auburn?" I said, "You're kidding me?" I went there, we got blind drunk. I hardly remember that. I drank so much liquor, it was unbelievable. And he was pawing, he was like, and I didn't care, I was Auden. The only thing I remember of the whole thing is he had the biggest bathtub I've ever seen in my life.
Bathtub? You were at his house?
I got so drunk I took a nap in it. And it was like something out of Dylan Thomas' Adventure in the Skin Trade, you know? There's some kind of rhythm to that kind of letting life happen. It gave me, what it did, it opened a door.
Wow.
And being from Lewiston, the oldest of 8 kids, I walked through that door and didn't look back.
No kidding.
Because I knew when I went through that door, I wasn't going to be the same boy who left.
Yeah.
And that I didn't want my family not to like me, because I started talking about Katzenzakis and Philip Guston and de Kooning and Lyon.
Did you know Philip Guston?
Philip Guston's the reason I got to New York. He invited me. He got me into New York City.
So you took lessons from him, or you knew him? You
Well,
just
he
knew-
wasn't a lesson kind of guy. I mean, he was kind of like Guston. You either listened to him or didn't. It was-
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, it's a great story. Someday I'll tell the story. It's a good story. It's a good story. So I've been lucky, bumping into people and doors open, you go through them. That's been my whole experience. I tell my kids the same thing, and it breaks my heart because they go through them. They're not quite the person who went through.
But they're richer for it.
They're richer for
Yeah,
it.
So good. All right, let's start looking at some
Oh,
of
yeah.
these wonderful pictures.
You've been probably wondering what the hell that is.
You know what it is? Calendar page. Okay, tell us why you gave us this slide.
Yeah, because it's significant for you to understand when I get to the grandiose part of my work that it really comes from very insignificant places. Whenever I draw, and I don't think I'm drawing, I come up with the most amazing imaginative things. Now, I keep blotters for years, and I have hundreds and hundreds of these.
You keep what for years?
Blotters. I have a blotter
A
on my
blotter,
desk. I have a
blotter.
blotter in my studio in New York. I have one in Maine, and I draw and doodle on it. And I put down meaningful things like you got to go to the dentist, you got to pay the mortgage, and then by the time I'm done, you can't even find anything because I doodle over it. And out of these scribbles and these free-thinking kind of ideas comes my resource for all my imagery.
That is great.
And so I'll compete.
All intuitive.
All intuitive. And I'm very not, I hate it when my pinky goes up. Like, when I pick up a Crow pen, I do this. It's just the worst. I'm drawing like de Kooning. I'm like, give me a Sharpie and I can make it.
You don't want to think too much. You want to doodle.
I like to think that I've got enough hours doing this that it should be done by itself. It's kind of like if you,
Automatic
well, it's kind
drawing.
of like you take a ball and you throw it in the air. If you follow the ball, your hand will go underneath it. If you throw a ball in the air and you watch your hand, you're going to miss it.
Yeah.
Your hand will catch the ball without looking at your hand.
Yeah.
So that kind of
that idea.
rhythm is kind of. So sometimes you end up making birdhouses. I mean, doing dumb things because they seem like a good idea. And that's a true story. I did some birdhouses. That wasn't so long ago either. I should know better. But it was like, so, yeah. There.
So I like that idea. So these you say because they're full of doodles, and you use doodles in your artwork. Is that the beginning of a painting?
It's the beginning of everything.
Yeah.
The painting is a different tool, so it goes in a different direction.
Yeah.
I don't like being nailed down to anything specific.
The excitement is gone.
I need to trick myself into not knowing how to do it. I switched mediums on purpose, so I have to relearn what I'm doing. Otherwise, I'm such an OCD control freak that I will absolutely master the thing to a point it's dead.
Wow.
I will. I'll overwork it. So what I'll do is I'll paint for a while, and then I'll start making sculpture. And then I'll make sculpture, and I go, shit, I'd like to light that up. And I go, well, there's neon. So I'll go on this now the computer instead of Yellow Pages, and I'll look up neon artists, and I'll call them, hey, what do you think? And then I'll go down and meet these guys, and we'll end up making stuff. And it'll change for me. It keeps it interesting and fresh.
Keeps it interesting and fresh. Yeah.
And you know, there's a world of billions of people, and they can handle it. You know, they can handle it.
They can handle it.
And so
Now this is another page.
Yeah, this is another page. So it was kind of like I wanted to set the talk up by telling you that I'm very serious about being an artist.
You are. It's your life.
It's my life. And I'm romantically involved in my profession, like I'm romantically in love with my wife. I love my art as much. Mm-hmm. And for me to keep that romance, it has to be reinvented and revisited and redone, just like taking your wife on a date sometimes and doing something different.
Right.
You must keep
to keep the thing fresh, to keep it alive.
Because right behind my love of my art is the careerism, the cold shoulders and the sharp elbows of that life, the competitive quality of being an artist. It's always there. The the regret, the envy, all that competitiveness has to be mitigated for me somehow. Otherwise, I'll consume myself with it as a competitive person.
Oh, all right. I'm going to go to the next one. I love this
All
painting.
right, so this is getting to painting. So
These paintings are beautiful.
and these paintings are built with line. There's a lot of line.
You like line. I noticed that throughout your whole,
Yes.
everything you do.
Well, drawing is my métier. That's my strongest suit. The thing I love to do is articulate a line, move through a line, and paint through the line. So I developed the paintings through line first.
Through line, but tell us how you start something like this. There's so much texture.
Well,
And how long, I mean, do you work it over and over and over?
no, that's a very fast painting.
Really?
Yeah, that one came very quickly.
This is called Near Rockland.
I love using, I have a painting called Mexico, Maine. I love these titles.
Mexico, Maine is
That's
great.
Just because the New Yorkers need it. They really got to lighten up a bit. It's so funny.
That's funny.
It's so foolish. Well, you know how the New Yorkers are.
Oh, yes, I do.
Everything else is camping out. So I like to show up and,
You like to be the Mainer showing up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us how you start this painting and how it evolves.
Well, the truth is, I'm a printmaker at heart.
printmaker.
Printmaker came to me, was my
That was the first
a
thing.
strong medium. I studied printmaking. I found no use for it for a long time. I didn't know how to use it as an artist because etching was dead. That type of art was gone. And I could draw like that way. So I had to be, that's the pinkies up part of it. I've got Rembrandt stuff, like looking like
Too serious.
too serious, much too borrowed. And I got invited by Pat Nick out to Vinyl Haven. The Vinyl Haven Press.
The Vinyl Haven Press.
And she's a dear friend. I love her so much. But she met me and said, can you do I was doing these big, crazy gonzo prints using chisels and inking them with palette knives. They were like, it was 80s. It was like wide open. And I went out there, and that was my invitation back to Maine. I hadn't been back to Maine in years. I didn't have the income to come back. I didn't have any reason to come back, but being invited back as an artist was such an honor to be working out there. And I became a pretty good printmaker. I love to draw, and I love to cut blocks. I'm very physical. I'm a contractor as well. I do work. I like to work.
With hammers and nails and stuff.
Nails and planks and stuff like that. Yeah, I like work. I'm working on a building now.
Really?
I like, I have more fun on a construction crew in a week than I do in a decade teaching in a college. There's more.
Why? The physical
Just the humor
physicality?
of it all, the physicality, the carrying things, the holding it up, the laughing at each other, the teasing, The lunches are hysterical. And, just talking about all the dumb things we talk about. And, just getting away. I just can't help it. That's my Lewiston as well. And that thing in me. I'm not frightened of work. I'm not ashamed of having to have hard work, labor in my youth when I tried to create a profession. So this all plays into what I do when I paint. So what I do here with these paintings, I take large sheets of colored paper, and I've made and I also have large sheets of plexiglass that I've carved and incised, intaglio, carved through. And what I'll do is I'll ink them, the plates, and run them through the press with colors on the colored paper. So I get a lot of movement, a lot of mood in the sheets.
On a painting like this?
These are all collage.
Okay, so it's an oil collage, this is.
Yeah, it's all acrylic now.
All acrylic?
Yeah, and I use squeegees and scrapers to make my forms and move through it. I'm a big guy, and I love to work I like to wrestle with my paintings.
This is big.
Yeah, it's 5 by 8 feet.
5 by 8 feet.
And they could be bigger, but so I get these big shapes, I lay them down, and I glue them, and I work with them, then I draw through them, and I scrape, and you can see me doing it. It's like a dance. It's like a very physical wrestling match. And sometimes it comes out really great, and then there's other times when you have to, they can't be done too many times because they'll lose their freshness.
I see.
So there's a sparkle to them, and then I've gotten into, now I'm painting on black gesso, and I'll gesso the canvas black, and the paper part of it's interesting. I don't like collage, but so I try to hide that aspect of it with the paper. You know what I mean? You know what I mean, collage is collage.
I can't tell that's collage.
Where did the plexiglass come in on this?
Well, I'll cut plexiglass sheets and I'll incise it with tools, and then I'll run a scraper through it so that it's like an intaglio process, like an etching plate, but they're about this big. And I'll run them through the press, and the papers will get these embossed ink lines.
Oh, I see. So this is part print, part painting. I get it.
And then I'll stack these papers. I'll have all kinds of color sheets, and I'll go pick them out and move through them. I take scissors and cut out shapes and lay them down, and then move through it.
Do you have music going while you're doing this?
My brain.
In your brain? Well, they are
I don't-
beautiful.
I
They're
don't know
very
how to explain.
lyrical. I mean, they have a movement, and there's a line that you see running through it.
Yeah, you know, they're not as serious as my earlier paintings. I used to really be a heroic painter. I mean, like man lashed to the mast. I mean, we're going down with the ship. It was kind of like, and
Yeah.
I'd say to people, you want to buy a painting or a poke in the eye? They say, I'll skip the painting. They're so serious, and I loved them because I felt very serious.
But I love these. These are
I don't feel
beautiful.
as serious as I used to feel. I'm a happier guy.
You're happier now.
No, I'm miserable, but I'm a painter. I was born with a pebble in my
Are you
shoe.
happy and miserable?
I was born with a pebble in my shoe. I've always been that way. I've always groused about things.
Oh.
But I live a great life, and I'm very grateful for
Well,
it.
you seem so happy. You're not.
Yes, I am.
But you have a pebble in your shoe.
Yes, I mean,
okay.
you know what I mean, right? You'll know that.
Yeah,
So,
everybody has a pebble, I think.
something they should. And that's a detail of the piece.
Now, this is the detail, so you could see, I wanted you to see some of the, it's a little bit hard to see the color when we blow them up this big, but they're beautiful. All right, this one,
Yeah, this is working with a dark field, a black field. So-
Patchwork Garden, is that what this one's called?
No, I think that's something else.
Raspberry Tango?
Yeah.
Raspberry Tango. Okay. All right, so I was going to ask you who your biggest influences were. I know you just told us that some of the people, but Elaine de Kooning too, I think you.
Oh, she was a great friend, yeah. I mean, the people I met, like Elaine and David Hare and Philip Guston, Nick Caroni, and they were just living in New York. There were artists there, and they loved young artists.
So you met them at bars and things, or where'd you meet them?
Well, I met them at the studio school. I got invited to the studio school, and I was a drinker. I loved to drink, and I still would if I didn't stop. I love Budweiser, especially. I got a specialty.
Budweiser.
I love going to bars, and I would meet people. I mean, W.H. Auden. The next day, I'm meeting William Burroughs. In a bar.
Oh.
My God, it was amazing. I meet guys, mafia guys with black shirts and black ties. I go, you really in the mafia? You really look like one. I mean, there's that kind of naivety, you know, and they go, yeah. Guido. And I would meet these characters. It was just great, you know.
So that was like an education in
And, you know,
itself.
we lived in small apartments, so bars were like our living rooms.
The bars were, yeah.
Because you didn't have a living room.
Yeah.
You had a bedroom and a little
Place to paint.
And a place to paint. And you'd go out and meet people, and yeah, it was where the Runyon-esque character of New York was still there, that kind of thing. Where you didn't have to have a hedge fund to buy an apartment.
Yeah. Should we move on, or do you want
Sure.
to say anything
No,
more about this? You can
yeah.
see the line in this a little bit more clearly.
Yeah, and over in that area upper left, you can see where the intaglio plate.
Yes.
See, you can start seeing the
Yeah.
process. And it's a very sloppy printing. It's a very monoprint kind of process.
Yeah, I like it. I like it.
This is Patchwork Garden, so
Mexico, Maine.
that's Mexico. You know, because it looks like Mexican colors. It looks like Mexico, Maine. I mean,
Yeah.
what a better title, right? It just had to be.
Did you name that before you painted it?
I knew the title was sitting out there. I have it listed. I have books of lists of titles, waiting for paintings.
Oh, really? Interesting.
How large are these paintings?
About 5 by 8 feet.
Big. 5 by 8 feet.
They're good size. They need to be
Big.
sized. They don't paint well small. They look a little precious.
Yeah, but they're beautiful big.
Yeah.
Did we see, no, that's a different one.
That's another one of the same palette.
Yeah. This is called Patchwork Garden, I think. Yeah.
You can see, now if you start looking, you can see the line. I use an extruder too. Do we have ceramics in this slide section?
You didn't give us any of your ceramics. I saw them and I love them.
I thought I sent all that. I'm
I don't think you
surprised
did.
they
No,
got
no,
lost
no.
in-
I should have put one in.
Something got lost in translation, but there's enough work here for me, enough.
Now, are dreams important to you?
I don't remember my dreams.
You don't remember?
I've had them occasionally.
Yeah.
I don't use them.
Because the work looks spiritual, some of it. I mean, I think paintings like this look spiritual to me.
Well, you know, the fact that they're so risky and they survive is a spiritual part, like kids, you know, how the hell they survive? They're just kind of like, you know, it's like crossing a 4-lane highway with a blindfold on.
Oh.
If you can get the metaphor, it gotta just...
You mean you're really scared? It's a risk you're taking.
I don't think about it, but they just hang there just before they fall apart. There's some tension that's important to me. Does that make sense what I just said? Something that just stays together.
Yeah.
So they're not about being finished, they're just about when they're finally done, there's a place.
Is a place. You said, here's a quote, "When I make art, I feel the picture, I feel the form. I find myself inside it and communicating through it."
Yes, that's how I feel.
Yeah.
And that could be the poetic part of what you're
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah.
When they take over. And I couldn't possibly tell you how to make them. I do all the process, which is fun part, because I do all that process of making the sheets and all the colors, and I buy the papers because I know which ones, and I buy the colored inks, and I get the canvas, and I get it all together, and I have no idea what's going to happen after that. And I love that. I love it because I am addicted to living in that place. And all of us are who make art, right? We're addicted to getting out of our own heads. And it's not escapism. It's spiritual.
No, it's living on the edge
I hate
somehow.
using the word spiritual, but it's a place I must be.
Yeah.
It's my own cave. And I have my own iconography in it. I have my own value system in it. And that's why I work very hard.
Would you say it's the unconscious? Are you in the unconscious?
Oh, yes, I totally believe it. That's what the doodles are about.
Yeah.
I trust that I have in me all this material from the reading and the looking and the thinking and the imagining. And I get the courage to do it by not thinking about it.
Yeah, I get it, yeah.
Right, you get it. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
a painter's place. That's that question of what's success. It's failing in a certain way.
Yeah. And you have to go beyond the conscious, and you have to go beyond the criticism of yourself. You have to risk losing everything
Yeah, you
to
gotta
get
be-
to the good place.
You got to be willing to make a mistake and go with it.
Yeah.
Even if it's not going to look like the last painting. That's the careerist part. That's the difficult part for me as a careerist, as having a career and enjoying exhibiting and having that kind of profile, is I know sometimes the direction of the work will take me away from what my gallery will be happy about,
Or what is sold before.
what is sold before, and then my clients going, what in the world happened? But this is a good Philip Guston story. When I met Philip Guston, he was teaching, and he had just started doing these crazy paintings. He was like a mandarin painting these gorgeous kind of moody, you know, the paintings, abstract paintings. And he couldn't take it anymore. He was fed up with it. He was political.
Yeah.
He was an intellectual.
Right.
He was emotional. He couldn't handle doing it anymore. He started doing those Nixon drawings.
That was unbelievable that he did that.
Unbelievable. No artist since Goya's, Dahmen. I mean, how many artists? Not in America, we don't do that. Artists don't do that kind of dirty work. We let other people do it. And we go get great wine or whatever we do. Whatever the hell we do, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And I met him that summer in Saratoga Springs in the summer arts program. And I was a kid from West Virginia who got invited up. So I meet this man, and he's talking about this new way of thinking and drawing. And then and that next year I got into New York and I was painting Adolf Gottlieb's. You know Gottlieb's work?
Yeah.
I was in the building painting Gottlieb's. I do 2 or 3 a day. And above me, the floor above me, were painting Roy Lichtenstein's. And we'd all go, the workers would go to the Moishes across the street and have lunch and try to laugh it off. But, and then Philip had a show at the Marlborough Gallery of his new imagery, his brand new imagery, Ku Klux Klan figures driving cars and silly gray.
Pointy hats and
People were
big shoes.
People thought he lost his mind.
They thought he was cracked.
And I was standing there with Gottlieb, and he was talking to another artist, and he said to him, "What do you think of these paintings?" And the artist said, "I think it's disgusting. It shows his emotions that way." Then Hilton Kramer killed the Sunday Review. He said the Mandarin pretends to be a stumble bum, and that murdered him. He was devastated. He was but he did talk to me and taught me that you got to go through that to be an artist. Because he said I could never be myself if I didn't go there, because the product making will eat you alive.
What a gutsy guy he was.
Well, you end up having other people paint it for you. Now, he's the only artist I've ever known that you couldn't paint for him. You couldn't be in a studio because he didn't need you there.
He didn't need you there.
Except to have a drink with him.
Yeah.
That's about it. There's nothing you could do. Whereas we have created art after the war that is comparable to what we do in our industries, our car making. We make these products, and we change the color of the car a little bit, but there's still the product. And we all walk away equally dissatisfied with the product. The product gets better because other people are making it. Now, I've worked into that world with my sculptures, and we can go on. We don't have to labor this, but...
Well, no, I like to hear what you have to say. Go ahead.
Yeah, and so...
Continue.
So it's hard to break that, because it's hard to lose your audience.
Yes.
It's hard to disappoint.
It's a real
hard to-
risk.
And what happens as an artist, you get used to painting for shows and not for yourself. It's a really tough racket.
Yeah.
Because you got to play it both ways. Because I've had friends who've told me who were successful at one point. All of us go in and out of success. Rarely do we stay
there,
successful
yeah.
a long time.
Yeah.
And how do you get through that swale? If you're painting for an audience, it's not there, so you have to create an audience. And part of the phenomena for me being back here in Maine is I'm far from my street, from my scene.
From Chelsea.
Chelsea or Soho or the East Village or whatever I used to hang in. Because I was a downtown artist. And that meant I lived in Soho in the lofts and I worked construction. And we drank in Finelli's and we hung out and there wasn't a lot of money. There weren't very many shows. If you ever got a card for an exhibition that had a picture on it, that was a big deal. You know, a catalog was, holy mackerel, Stewart really made it. You know, that was a big, big phenomenon. And we worked for each other in that time. And then I finding myself up here having to keep an audience in my head.
But you're reaching down inside you. That's different than painting for the audience.
Well, I'm not that pure. I'm not going to say I'm
You're
not.
honest. You're honest.
I'll be honest with you. I mean, I have my, I'm trying to play it both ways. I'm just trying to be honest in this discussion.
Trying to make a little money at it, too.
And it's very important because, I'm hooked.
Yeah.
I'm hooked.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
And, what do we
Now,
do?
this is a print.
This is a print, collage print. Yeah, it's a print.
And this is
all
also
print.
big.
All print, yeah.
Huge.
Huge, yeah. It's 4 by 6 feet. So I like printmaking. I was talking about my original intention to make prints was drawing like Rembrandt, Goya, the plate, wiping a small plate and beveling the edges and putting it on a big sheet of paper and then putting a mat around it. I mean, there's so many accoutrements to making a print that you forgot what you're making in the first place, That wasn't going to work, so I figured I'd just make them like paintings. And that's what these are. They're very physical, they're big, they're commanding, and they don't take any bullshit.
They don't take any
bullshit. You can't
bullshit.
slap them around like a little etcher. You can't put them behind the door. They speak. I wanted that kind of conversation print.
Yeah, no, they are.
Are there just one of each?
Yeah.
No.
Well,
One of each?
They're edition variant. There's all the same images, but they're all varied. Rather than,
What do you mean they're all varied?
well, they all will have those components, but there'll be
Little variation.
big variations, and
Oh,
small
okay.
variations, and tonal variations. I think And this is interesting, because I'm going to be starting making some prints in about 3 weeks. I'm gonna start.
Where? At the Vinyl Haven Press?
No, I'm going to make them with David Wolf
Oh,
in Portland.
oh,
I'm doing a new series of prints, because
Great.
I'm going through, some anxieties with these abstract paintings and the political situation. I really want to scream.
you want to scream?
I want to do something.
Yeah.
And I don't want to, I want to measure it. So I'm going to use print. I'm doing a series of screaming roosters. They're just howling, Warnock-esque kind of angry birds. I'm going to start there. So what my career path is saying to me, don't screw the paintings up, because you're not going to be able to afford to do the print. So this is the game I'm doing. I'm being fair, and honest about it. But I'm going back into some prints very soon and some painting. So this is a tough time to be an artist, to be silent in this time.
In this political situation? Oh, yeah.
It's not a good thing.
So I want to see these screaming roosters.
Yeah, and I can play it all ways, because I do prints, drawings, ceramics, paintings, sculpture, so I can switch one of my mediums and throw them to the wolves, so to speak, and create something.
Here's another one.
Yeah, this is a toning piece, which were black and white. I think quite moody.
Yeah. Still see the line. You like the line even in a print.
Yeah, it's a Yankee piece. It's like,
A Yankee?
yeah, it's
Why?
it's wet and cold. Dour. I like it. It reminds
Dour.
me of, it's kind of got that, I don't know, old buoys and stuff like that. Whenever I can drop an image in. Now then we come to the
These are the new neon things that I
Yeah.
saw. I just love them.
Yeah. So what's going on here is in the parallel universe that's my brain, I have this other interest of sculpture in my mind, and I was making these composite pieces, and I just wanted some line. So if you look at the line I'm making in my doodle pages.
It's a doodle, that
it's a
neon.
doodle, yes.
That's what I
And
thought.
it comes from the Sharpie. I love Sharpies. You know that beautiful line
Yes.
you get with a Sharpie? That's
It
so...
flows. It's just so
it's
easy to use
brilliant,
it.
and
Yeah.
it just glows. So I was saying, I was making these things, I'm going, they're really boring. I've got to do something. So I got on my computer and I looked up
Neon.
neon. I found 3 neon people. I got
Cool.
Neon Pat in Lewiston.
Oh.
I got Neon Dave as an artist in Portland. And I got Neon Jake in Portsmouth.
And they told you how to do it.
And I figured I'd bring them my problem, and they had a great time solving it with me. It was really
You
good.
were smart to go and find somebody who knows how to do it, because I was looking at that, and I went and bought some neon after I saw your paintings, but I had no clue what to do with it.
No, that's why you go in with a pocket full of $20 bills. Solve all kinds of problems. Now, and then as soon as I start collaborating, so this brings me to the point. The paintings are feral. I do them by myself.
Yeah.
I do a lot of them. I have a big studio in Jersey City, and I paint mostly there. Because I have that audience in my head.
What audience?
Gustin,
Oh,
Corky.
okay,
I had
okay.
Corky's walking around
Good
in stocking
influences.
feet when I'm
Yeah.
painting.
Oh.
I'm surrounded by these
Yeah,
people
mentors.
I'm working for.
Yeah.
And then my great-grandchildren are there. Everybody's there because I've got legacy, I got a great drive to leave a mark, to
Wow.
be somebody, to have all the sacrifices I've made and that people have made for me. That is really a powerful part of my motivation.
So you're stepping into a line of the history behind you and the future
Yes,
when
I
you're
got-
making this work. It's all in your head.
Yeah, I want my children to be proud of this. So that's some audience for you, right? That's a situation. And then I also want to be kind of cool, too. And so I figured I'd get some tattoos and drink craft beer and grow a beard. But what's fun is, so the paintings, I'm losing a little track here, but this is important because this says a lot about Maine and my relationship here with the state. The paintings I do alone. They require me at 2:30 in the morning in my boxer shorts to be painting. I'm just gone.
You're in the zone.
I'm in the zone. I paint up to here, the
Yeah.
floor, and I'm working. And that's a good place. When I do the prints, I've learned collaboration.
Oh,
That was an interesting thing for me.
that's not easy.
No, it's hard to have people pick up for you and do stuff and get in your way.
Yeah.
I learned to enjoy the collaboration. There's nothing greater for me than have another kindred spirit working with me in that same space.
Wow.
So when I moved to Maine, I found David Wolf has a print shop. He
You
has a-
like him. You have to like the person or you can't
Oh,
collaborate.
I don't always like Neon Jake is a Trump supporter. I hate him. We don't get along at all, but we make great work together. He came to my show in New York. I mean, I go, Jake, don't poke me with that stick, Jake. You're going to be in trouble, you big mouth. Because he's poking me, because that's his nature. 'Cause he's, yeah. And Neon Dave's an artist. And he's good, but he wants what I got. So I know that phenomena, too. So I got to be careful, you know. Like, I don't like that part of it. You can't have what I got, kid. You got to go get your own.
You got to have more experience.
And
He's
Neon
a young kid.
Pat's kind of a Trump guy, but a big-hearted guy. So I've got to work with these people, so I have to give up something.
Yeah.
And they give up a little bit.
Yeah.
And then we kind of find some common ground and then get there.
Wow.
So I was lucky with the Neon. I worked with 3 different people, and they all felt a little bad, like I was cheating on them. But I had to play them off each other, which was really important. Do you understand? Because I got to get what I got to get out of it. It's like, what's in it for me ultimately, right?
So at different times, you went to different ones and had them work with you, and you told the other guys that you were working with someone else.
Yeah, and they'd be kind of like, oh man, that guy's cheating on me. I said, no, you got to understand. You know, I gotta
You
push
wanted the best out of each one of them.
each one of them.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a strategy. And it worked out okay. And I got different things from each one.
Now, these are sort of sculptural things that go on the wall. There's some,
That's right.
The shadow effect is really good.
Yeah, you get that backlighting.
Yes.
You know, the truth, I'm a sculptor, but really I'm a painter. And working on the flat, on the wall makes, I hate that idea. You got a front and a back to it. That's baloney. You know what I mean? You got to walk around it.
You like the sculptural feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a silly point. I don't care about that.
Here's another good one. Love it.
Yeah.
Black cloud. And you've got that doodle again.
Yeah, it's just, when I do it, I just draw it with a Sharpie and then I hand it to the Neon guy and he copies it.
Oh, and then he bends it and makes it.
Copies it.
So how do they bend that stuff?
It's
a tube.
They're a tube and they blow glass and they bend it.
Oh,
and
heat it and bend it.
they blow it in and turn it and turn it and turn it. And, then
And
when
have
they-
you learned how to do that?
I'm not even slightly interested.
You want them to do it?
Yeah.
I love to hear this. This is so
Well,
good.
I mean, I don't want to know that. If I knew how to do it, I wouldn't be able to do that.
No, but you make up the whole painting and they do the part that they can do, which
Yeah.
is to bend the neon. I love that idea.
I'll make the forms out of cardboard and I'll get them cut and then I'll bolt them together, paint them, bolt them together. And then I'll make a drawing with a Sharpie of a line and then I'll take that.
And they make
he'll bend it and then once you get the physical parts, we put them together. And
Now, what is that cloud made of?
aluminum.
Aluminum. And this looks like one of your sculptures, this red part.
Yeah,
Is that aluminum also?
yeah, it's all aluminum, painted aluminum.
Love it.
Oh, they're friendly, aren't they? That's a nice formal piece, you know. Like,
Beautiful.
and I'm kind of surprised about them sometimes too, because I don't know exactly what I'm going to get back.
What do you mean? You're not sure what it's going to look like?
Yeah,
Well, that's kind of the fun for you.
and
You like
I can't wait to turn them on.
To
I'll
turn
wake up
them
in the middle
on.
of the night and turn them on just to see them. Whoa.
What's the size of that?
I'm sorry?
The size of that?
Oh, it's about that big, you know.
Nice size,
Whatever, you know, something like that. Not huge.
not huge.
I'm making a piece, a huge piece now.
A neon huge piece.
I'm into marquee signs. That's my new thing.
Oh, the marquee is going to be neon.
Well, it's going to be light bulbs. I'm making a piece that's going on top of a building in Portland that's 26 feet long.
26 feet.
It's so cool. It's going to be there April 12th.
We're going to see it.
It's going to
Dumbo? Is it in Dumbo?
be, I'm sorry?
Will it be in Dumbo?
Dumbo,
No, it's going to be on Forest Avenue.
Forest Avenue.
And it says hopeful.
Hopeful.
Great big beautiful message. It's going to be these neon bulbs just like you see on the side of a roadside. So
Oh.
I've been studying old roadside. I'm really excited about the future. This is another leap from failure to failure without the loss of enthusiasm. I can't wait to make these roadside signs. I've been researching all these great 50s signs, and I'm going to turn them into sculptures. It's going to be great.
Wow.
So now that I'm into light, I mean, it's pretty cool.
Light is
Now,
beautiful.
I got this thing, this sign, the world's changed to my advantage because I'm a very simple man. And these neon lights will have, I'll probably, in that 26-foot sign, will probably have 112 light bulbs. And it plugs with their LED lights.
LED.
LED, and you plug in a 110 cord, just like your lamp. Isn't that silly? That's wonderful.
It is all different colors?
Yeah,
Oh.
yellow and it's red, it's great. You're gonna love it. It's gonna be cool.
April, what's the date?
12.
April 12th. Can't wait.
Do you do your own metal work?
Do I cut my own metal?
Yeah.
No. Way I do this is welding's another thing I hate. My dad was a mechanic, so I used to weld bumpers together and bumper heads. I can't, and mufflers, nothing. Welding is like mowing grass. And if I had to weld, I wouldn't make them. So what I do, and this is the difference between painting and sculpture, my work is better as a sculptor with collaboration.
Collaboration.
What I'll make the whole thing out of cardboard,
Oh,
and then I'll hand it to the welder. He'll take and trace the cardboard and cut it out and put it together for me.
is it expensive?
Yeah.
You have to pay a lot to the welder.
Yeah, well, that's why I do contracting. Because not all
To
of
pay
these,
for it.
they don't always work out, but I'm not done. And I've got a fabulous wife who's totally 100% into this with me.
She is, she's a nice,
She's
where is
great.
she?
She's here.
She's here.
So yeah, so I know I love diamond plate, I love material, I love texture. So I thought this is kind of a cool combination.
It is great. And I love the fact that you do it out of cardboard because that's what you're good at. You're good at thinking of the design and then you give it to the people who are good at the...
Because I can physically feel the form. When I cut it out of cardboard with a sharp knife, I can feel the form, and I can be fluid.
Yeah,
If I'm cutting it out of metal, I'm not feeling that form.
no.
I'm feeling the resistance and the work of it. So
Yes.
I eliminate the work of it by having
Smart,
somebody make it.
smart. Really?
That's another one.
Now, what's that shape, the blue shape with the jagged?
I call it a rooster or a saw. It's an image I use over and over again.
I've seen it in a lot of your work.
Yeah.
And is this going to be the rooster that's screaming? Is it going to look like
No,
that?
this is going to be a pretty screamy
Yeah,
rooster with
okay.
a big eyeball and stuff. All right, so this is a good story. I was a boy and I left and I took that river and I ended up in New York in a whole new world. I walked through that door and I was in another place. And I met Johnny Frank and his mother Jean, and they had a house on Cape Cod. And they lived next door to Edmund Wilson, and Waldo Frank was their father. He was a writer. These are 30s artists. They were friends of Edward Hopper. That was the time. And so it was a very urbane, wonderful setting where you had scotch on the rocks and big tumblers. I loved it, because it felt so grown up. and having access to this urbane world.
Yeah.
And I was staying at their house, and I go to the bedroom, and there's books everywhere lying. So I was looking for a book. I'm not looking at Conan Doyle, and I'm looking at spines, and there's one little spine that said Damariscotta. Oh my goodness, I pulled this little book out, and I look at it. I walk back out into the living room, and I said, what is this book of poetry by Morrison Hartley that says Damariscotta? Now, I lived in Lewiston, Auburn, and I went on to college, and I certainly knew who Morrison Hartley was and admired his work, but I didn't know he was from my hometown. Nobody, in those days, we didn't talk about it. Nobody mentioned that. So I went, wow, Morrison Hartley was from Auburn, Lewiston, Maine. That's amazing. So I had this little book of poems. Now, that was 22 years old. That's a long time ago. That was 50 years ago that I saw that book. And this story, I'll try to get to it as quick as I can because it's a big story. So this book stayed with me. I remember that I was there. And I moved back here with my family, and I'm in Portland, and there are fires in Lewiston. They're burning some of the tenements. And somebody said to me, thank God they said it, what are your people doing there? What are your people doing there? I said, what do you mean, what are my people? They call us French. I'm French. My dad was the interloper. My family are the Saint-Hilairs, French-Canadian. I like Obama, he identified black, I identify as French-Canadian. And it's great. It gives me a chip on my shoulder, and it makes me very happy to take people down. Because if they underestimate me because I have one hand, that would be the stupidest move they ever made. If they underestimate me because I'm French, that would be even dumber. So that's great to have this fuel. It's wonderful to have this fuel. I'm lucky to have it. So I went, my people, what are you talking about? So I went up, I used to drive up, and the fires were happening. It was bothering me a lot. This town that we used to wash the stoops.
Was burning.
Everything was clean. They're burning the town down. So I'd go sit across the street from a fire as they're putting it out. I'd ride up and sit down with these old French people and go, what are you guys doing? They're like, what are you doing, man? Why are you doing this? What's happened to this community? And I said to myself, you know, people call it the dirty loo. They don't understand it. And then it's self-fulfilling because the people in Lewiston stop believing they're that way. And I went, you know, there's resources, jewels, there's gems everywhere. I really believe that. If you open your eyes and you listen to your community and you listen to the music, this is Thomas Wolfe. This is, when he talks about seeker, you'll find it in you'll find the points of light. This is the narrative. There are points of light.
Points of light everywhere.
Seeker, he calls himself the seeker, you will find it. You'll find it in your hills and villages and your church steeples and your towns. Through these points of light will direct you to the American spirit. You listen to your rivers, you look at your church spires, you watch your environment. And it's something, so then I said, what can I find for resource here? So one thing I did was I realized in 3 weeks, the 50th anniversary of the Ali Liston fight. 3 weeks.
Muhammad Ali.
Muhammad Ali fought Sonny Liston in Lewiston, Maine, 52 years ago now. So I made a film. It was a PBS piece. We did it. We pulled it off in 3
You
weeks.
did that film?
Yeah.
Maybe that's the one I have. I love
yeah.
Muhammad Ali.
Yeah,
I think he was a great human being.
Oh, he was singular.
Yeah.
He was singular. So that was my hometown, had a fight, which was like, it was the first pay-per-view fight ever. So the mob had $6 or $8 million. They never had a pay-per-view fight before. So you could be in the Elks Club in Topeka, Kansas, and you could watch the fight on TV. So they sold all these tickets. And the fight was supposed to take place in Boston, and because Liston was caught in a car outside in the suburbs of Boston with a white girl, and that was no good. And also, Liston was a real mobster, tied up with the gangsters. And Ali, the pure Ali, was tied up with Malcolm X just after the murder. So the Muslim Brotherhood's going to come up and shoot him. So, being Massachusetts, they said, you can't have a fight here. And they have 17 days. They got $6 million worth of money. And they said, hell, we'll have a fight in a cornfield. We don't care. So they ended up calling Sam Michael, who is this is a great story. He's a pawn shop broker who had poker games in his back room my dad played at. And
In Lewiston.
in Lewiston. He was a Lebanese American, and he had a pawn shop and poker games, and he run Friday night fights at 50 cents at the hockey rink that I used to play hockey in. And they said to him, for some reason, they got a hold of the governor of Maine, and he didn't care. And they called Sam Michaels from Cleveland, the boys, said, can you put a fight on in 17 days? And being from Lewiston, he said, of course. All he had to do was he had to get 2,000 folding chairs. And what happens at this fight, as many reporters as covered World War II came to Lewiston, Maine.
Oh, my
They were all
God.
staying at the Poland Spring Hotel. And they're all very wry and funny. And one of them said, we expected Count von Bismarck to walk out of the room one day. It was so old and seedy. So Jackie Gleason shows up. Liz Taylor shows up. Robert Goulet sings the national anthem. He's so drunk, he screws the whole thing up. We're howling laughing. And the fight actually took place, and it lasted less than 2 minutes. And Lewiston just felt terrible because they didn't do their job right. This is classic French. You know, they just wished they would have given you 18 rounds of good fight. Now, and there's a great pose here of Ali. So I'm going through so I did the film. I said, I don't want to stay on this forever, but I'm saying no, because that's one thing. We have the Ali fight. And then I'm going to put a piece of sculpture up. And the third thing I said, geez, remember that book you saw when you were 21 years old?
Androscoggin.
Androscoggin. I went on eBay and I found a copy of it. We reprinted it. It's being bound this week. And I illustrated it. Now, what an honor, right? So I went into this, read these poems, and I don't know poetry from anything. I mean, I know if it doesn't rhyme, it's hard on me. I'm not the brightest guy with poetry. I like Robert Frost. Now that I've gotten old and moved back to Maine, I get it. So I read the poems, I did some drawings, and so we made the book. And these are some of the illustrations from the book.
So here they are. This is going to be exciting. When is it going to be published?
Now, it's going to be in the New York Book Fair next week.
Wow. So we're seeing something very new.
Yeah, these are brand, and I did different mediums. This is Carborundum Print. I was using tool images.
Tools.
And work, it's about work. And
Work.
that's a small little etching. It's an image I've worked with for years. The diver, the transition from diving into water, transition through spiritual into the water.
Into the water.
And it plays very well with Hartley's images. Because the book of poetry, he wrote it like 2 years before he died. And he went back to Lewiston. And he writes poems about being in Lewiston, writes poems about being a young man. And as the river comes down and hits the Merrimeeting Bay and comes down into the ocean, it gets meaner. Then seagulls are plucking eyes out of fish, it's visceral. So the ocean's dark and deep, and the river up in the Lewiston is bucolic,
I see.
poetic.
I see.
So he gave me liberty to be visceral. So that's a page of the poet. David Wolf's set every type piece. It's all hand-typed, hand-set type, created lead type, and run off in the press. It's like, I would never do this if I knew what it was like again. I mean, this is like Gutenberg.
Wow.
It takes forever.
Is it totally expensive?
Yeah.
How much?
The book?
Yeah.
I don't know yet. We can't. I don't
Hundreds
know.
of dollars?
Thousands.
Thousands.
It's got to be.
How many?
Not thousands and thousands. I
How
don't know.
many
More than
issues
I
did
can
they
afford.
print?
Huh?
How many?
25.
Only 25?
That's the problem with the whole thing. All of a sudden, I got myself this unique, specialty, expensive thing, which is against my whole nature of books. So this is the irony of the whole goddamn thing. But guess what? I'm going to reprint it again, and come up with a $200, $300 book.
Yeah.
And make a print. So the book should be available.
Yeah.
Because this has taken me right down the road to so you can see the imagery. It's kind
It's
of fun.
a nice collaboration, I think.
It was a wonderful experience for me to do. And so I could borrow from him.
What?
I borrowed. And I allowed myself, it's kind of like I got on stage with a great actor. And I got to play a role with it. That was kind of fun.
He's such a wonderful artist. What's this?
That's a process where it's an etching. It's a deep bite etching. And it's a factory image. So a lot of this stuff's about the factories in Lewiston.
In Lewiston.
Yeah, because, we're on the coast here, and I don't mean to cause anybody any harm with my comment, but the coast is so smug with its aesthetic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We all have this, we know exactly how to dress a house here. You go inland, it's a whole different game.
It's different. It's different.
And I'm French, so I'm into color. I don't, black and white is too much.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a world.
Yeah.
And it's a world that hasn't been experienced enough in terms of resource for artists. Because everything left of that turnpike is huge. And it's full of its own fable and mythology. And we've been using the resource of the coast forever, since So that's one of the conversations I'm having is,
Right.
how do I find these factory towns and
Right.
deal with that?
Yeah, because that is Maine too,
Oh, yes.
as well
it is.
as the
And
coast.
it's part of the culture.
Yeah, yeah.
It's our fabric, part of our fabric. And that's an etching of a hand holding a,
The hand
hammer work.
and the hammer.
Now, that's back to a doodle. That's the little teeny doodle, probably that,
I told him it looks like a huge painting.
doesn't it, Bill? And then this is flickering back and forth with me with what I work, and this is a little, doodle sketch with Sharpies that led me up to some of the images I started doing with these outdoor monumental sculpture pieces.
Now we're going to see some of the
And
sculptures.
this is, give you a resource. This is on the High Line in New York. There's a building that has this graffiti, and I was commissioned to make a piece next to it.
So here's the piece next to it.
And then,
Is that great?
so I stole, I
You
borrowed.
stole from the graffiti.
And because we're kindred spirits. the doodle
Kindred
guys.
spirits,
The
yeah.
doodle guys and I. So I'm doodling in large-scale 30-foot pieces now, which I think is a great tension for the piece.
Yeah.
To have that playful quality. Again,
It definitely is playful, and there aren't that many sculptures on the High Line, are there? No.
that's been I was so fortunate to get that commission. I mean, I felt like Al Pacino the day I put it up. I was like, going, jeez, I should have been doing this forever. Thank God I didn't discover that when I was young. It would have gone to my head. It's like, yeah.
Here's another one now. Where's that one?
That's
Portland?
in Portland, Maine, yeah.
You guys look for that. Where is
It's
it? in
on
Portland?
Congress Street.
I've seen it. I love it.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a
Yeah.
fun piece, and it was built specifically for Ed Gardner, who was a great, great guy, commissioned me to make it. And I thought Portland, it's got to be relieved of all the brick and its sense of privilege. So I thought I'd put up a great big, colorful, loud, fun piece.
It's fun. It's fun.
They need it, they really do.
Yeah, they do.
So, and then I made one for my hometown in Lewiston.
And tell us about the images of that one.
Well, I borrowed a lot of images from Mars and Hartley paintings. The image in the circle is from the German soldiers.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
then the red diamond, that's from his Indian series out
Oh,
in
yeah.
Taos. And I got a couple of my things in there because I got to be, I'm saying, I'm sharing the stage with a great man. And since he's gone, he can't complain. And then the other piece is a Somali image that's the shape of the country. So it's kind of challenging because, people, when they have an outdoor piece, they need a narrative to connect to it. They buy art with their ears.
With their ears.
Yeah, instead of their heart. That's kind of a problem with public art.
Oh.
They say, a river used to run through here, and then it used to live over there, so I'll make you a thing like that. And people go, gee, that's a great idea, and the piece doesn't look anything like it. I don't know how to explain this, but I resist that. So I'll do a little bit of conversation and narrative, but mostly things come out of my subconscious. If I find successful imagery, I'll repeat it and use it over and over again. And these are a lot like my prints, my woodcuts, these images.
Yeah. Now, I think it's time to show the film, so I want you to
Oh, it's over there. Okay.
introduce this film that we're going to see. A short 4-minute film.
Yeah, in spite of all this seriousness, I have an art dealer who's a former stand-up comedian, Jim Kentner. He's a lovely friend. I actually met him playing poker, so we have a different kind of relationship rather than the artist schmoogie dealer stuff. We don't go there. But he's a great guy, and he's very funny. And he, one time, brought a camera to the gallery, and we started making a series called The Madness of Art. Have any of you ever seen it? Some of you have, right? Yeah. And it's become quite successful. And it's really good because we never went to film school and we don't know what we shouldn't be doing. So we just grab a camera, write a script, throw somebody at it, and we make episodes.
They really are funny.
they're
I
fun.
think we should show a group of them here.
Yeah, sometimes. We've made 52 of them. I just did one today. So I was screaming.
Here in
Well, in
Maine?
Portland, we just finished. Well, I did it on the phone because I'm screaming at him. I'm threatening to kill him. So I play the grumpy artist, and he's the dealer, hapless dealer. And it's a wonderful show. We even had Robert Indiana show up one time, and we did an episode with him where he told Jim all of it, Jim's my dealer, that all his Indianas are fakes. So it was so funny. And we restaged, Marina Abramovich was doing her piece. So we found out a friend of ours was painting a gallery in the summer that was empty, so we snuck in. And we got a bunch of people, we lined up, and we got a woman that looked like Marina Abramovich, and we did a scene. It was just, we roll on the floor laughing. And it's such a relief, because all those cold shoulders and sharp elbows and all this careerism will wear you out if you don't laugh at it. And we did a piece called Candy in a Corner, which is really interesting, because it's, the piece, Gonzalez. Yeah, the candy piece. And so we have a scene where Jim's trying to sell it to an hedge fund guy for $3.5 million. And it's hysterical. He's trying to explain, and the guy ends up taking a piece and choking on it, and they have to do the Heimlich maneuver. Well, some people wrote to us and said, "It's so glad you're telling the emperor doesn't have clothes." We have no agenda with it.
Yeah.
We got that one. Thank God you guys are telling the truth. Art's a sham. And then another woman wrote and said, I owned one of those, my husband and I, and we donated it to the Museum of Modern Art. And I thought that was hysterical. So we play in this little place. So I want to show you one episode of The Madness of Art. You go online, you can find the episodes. Now, this is a setup. These are all setups. So Jim's son, who's an actor, is in the show. We'll use his mom's in our show. If you walk in the gallery, this is a great story. One time we did a piece on Maplethorpe. Maplethorpe. I'm supposed to come in with a Maplethorpe photograph. I come in, it's supposed to be the most horrific image you've ever seen. We're going, you never get to see it. Going, oh my God, I didn't believe you could do that. And he wraps it up really quick, and by accident he shows it to some people. He's supposed to be showing them Polly Applebob kind of friendly piece. Well, we found these two people roaming around the gallery, and we asked them if they'd like to be in the episode. We're not actors. You don't have to be. We don't want you to be. This couple did the episode, and it went out. It was a funny episode. And then they called up 6 months later. That was their first date, and they got married after that. They got engaged that day.
Based on the film.
So we'll trap you in the gallery sometime. So I want to show you a 3, 4, 5 minute crazy thing. It's starring me, and I'm not a great actor, but you got to see what's really good about it is the willingness to be foolish and to tell a joke.
Okay.
All the leaves are brown, all the leaves are brown. Come on, Charlie. And the sky is green.
Yeah, hello.
Charlie, don't forget tomorrow. The Whiz Kid and I are coming by.
What whiz kid?
Martin Zaccarelli, I told you about him. He invented that new pill.
Well, that's not exactly penicillin, is it?
More like penicillin.
I don't know, Jim. I'm really kind of busy.
Listen, you're going to love him. And more importantly, he's bringing his checkbook.
What's he going to do, sign it with a crayon?
Okay, see you tomorrow.
Just be sure to bring a change of diapers.
This is the studio?
Well, no, this is the garage, but come on, you'll see.
Okay. Just through here?
Yeah.
Hey, Jim, how you doing?
That's Martin Zaccarelli, Charlie Hewitt.
This is, it's quite a space you got here.
Thanks.
Do you mind if I just...
Make yourself home.
So Martin's looking for some paintings.
I have a very intimate relationship with art, so I'm trying to find something that really kind of calls to me. And looking at your pieces, I hear a lot.
They're gonna be calling to you.
Well, I don't know how much John here, Jim, Mr. Kempner had told you about me, but
Martin has that new drug.
The super penis pill?
Yeah, the super. Yes, it's not a.
let's just say this drug is Viagra on Viagra, if you know what I'm
So
saying.
what kind of collection do you have? I mean, what are you interested
I have a few pieces right now, some Salvador Dali in my studio. I am interested in one day maybe opening up a museum. I like to dabble in that kind of thing. I got some Peter Max, and I'm just looking to get some some real artists up in there.
Okay, let's look at some paintings. That's why we're here.
This piece here is really, it's talking to me. The colors. Just talk to me a little bit about what's your inspiration for the colors, really?
Well, the colors are charged because they respond to each other. I lay down a formal shape of this kind of orange, yellow, and then I accent it with the green, put the lines in. I try a little red tone of blue maybe to sweeten it up a bit. Then I go back into some whites and scrape it down. The whole color thing kind of like works like a dance, like a kind of cosmic ballet.
I have no idea what you're talking about. If you could write that down for me, though, and give that to me on a piece of paper, though, I would love that. Well, I think this is going to be great for the bathroom, actually.
For the bath, well, that's, you know what, this is the...
Oh, sorry. This one for the bathroom. Sorry, not that one.
This for your bathroom?
Well, yeah.
Let's get him the hat rack, and maybe he should get his coat and go.
It's just so... This guy's...
Wait, give me 1 second.
I think he's responding. I believe he's responding to you, okay? So...
You close the deal, boss.
Okay, but you gotta be with me, okay? Smile.
okay.
Let me see the smile. Let me see the Charlie charm. Okay, there you go. There you go. No, shut. Okay, it's okay. It's okay. Let me go.
And how much is this one?
400,000.
400.
400,000.
Wow, that's a
40,000,
deal.
400.
Okay, 1 second. Hey, how are you? Good. I'm still here.
Okay. There's
Yeah, I'm just trying to-
something going on, Charlie. He's
A lunatic.
well, okay, maybe, but he's a rich lunatic. Oh, maybe, but
He's rich. You better pull
Listen,
it off.
gentlemen.
Okay.
So I think I'm going to make a decision. They're all so great. Let's eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Beautiful.
Fucking Mo.
He's gonna go with Mo.
We're going to go with the mo.
He's going with congratulations. You got Mo.
I'm just finishing up
Go with
here.
Mo.
Yeah.
You're gonna go with Mo? He's gonna go with Mo. Fuck Mo. You go. You hear me, kid? Get the hell out of here now.
Wait, hold up. One. That's enough. Mo. Mo. Okay, all right. One.
Listen, Mr. Kemner, I have never been disrespected. Mr. Hewell, you have not heard the last from me,
It's
all
you
right?
and okay, come on, Martin. Come on, Martin. 400,000.
I love him.
And he loves you too.
All right, here's your goddamn coat. Get So, there we go. That's speaks all of it.
Okay, are there any questions? Not just about the film, but about anything. There's one.
So if you're working on the edge of failure all the time, what percentage of the time are you failing? And do you take those failures and then rework them?
It's important to know when you're beat, with a painting, of course, in some pieces. So the more I throw away, the better the work becomes. I used to like to hold on to things and beat them up. So there is some giving away. I love risk. I love the opportunity. This is something we don't even know we have in this country. We get the ability to risk and not fail desperately, I like investing in real estate. I like buying art. I love the edge of it. So I kind of play the same kind of thing with my work. I paint a lot of work. I make a lot of things, and not all of them are successful. But I don't care. But I do edit. And that studio you just saw, that's a great studio. I move into another one. So I get a chance at these moves to edit a lot of stuff. So I make a lot of decisions then.
So you actually throw things away?
Yeah, edit.
Edit. Cut things out and use them in something else?
No, they go away and I go buy new canvas.
Okay.
It's really important not to try to, if it's something.
Not to try and make it work if it's not working?
That's something I used to work off that poverty idea that everything has to
Yeah.
fit all the time. So, All right, so thank you.
Wait, before we finish, I have one more thing. I want to say that I want to quote you, because I love this quote. You said, "I will finish my life as an artist doing my birthright as a communicator and an emotional person with a commitment to making my art as real and as powerful as can be. I feel 6 feet 8 inches." I love
I feel
that.
like a giant. Yeah, that's great.
Thank you so much for coming and sharing. You've been so honest. I love it.
Thank you.